Good afternoon. My name is Sania A Ansari, and I work with a lot of NGOs. I work with human rights. I work with refugees. I work with women rights, and I'm working with the royal family of UAE, and I'm a self-made person, and a lot of people in UAE or worldwide they invite me as a VIP guest or guest of honor, and a lot of universities and a lot of events they also invite me to deliver a speech. And I've been thinking to start my YouTube channel and shed the light and wisdom, and I think my life experience and my ideas can also help other people and help them resolve their problems and help them achieve the goals. And today's video is going to be about human rights, and I know that a lot of people don't know about basic human rights, and every day, knowingly and unknowingly, we uh, somehow bypass the human rights, and somehow we don't realize that we're discriminating other people, and we're putting other people down. And we have to think about, or we have to remember one thing, that we're all, regardless of the race, regardless of the ethnicity, regardless of the sex, regardless of color, we're all human beings. And when we're born, we're all human beings. uh, we have the same blood, we share the same blood color. So sometimes people forget that because of the wealth status, because of the religious reasons, because of the skin color, because of the ethnicity and the social status. And today I want to shed light on those. And I know there's a lot of motivational speakers, there's a lot of people who talk about various topics in life, but I wanted to talk about human rights. So the Universal Declaration of Human Rights have 30 human rights. These are 30 basic human rights that we should all be aware of, and we should all know about these. So the first one is, sorry, I'm on my website right now. My website is saniaansari.com, and under the honors tab there's a section says human rights. And the human rights, we have the 30 articles of human rights, basic human rights. And you'll also see a picture of mine. This was from a conference done or held in Islamabad, Pakistan. As you're aware, or you're not aware because it's my first video, I'm the ambassador for women development or women empowerment for International Human Rights Commission from Pakistan. I'm also ambassador at large for International Human Rights Organization based in Argentina, and I'm also an advocate for human rights from an NGO in Canada. And even when before I joined all these NGOs as an ambassador at large or goodwill ambassador, um, I was uh, I was always very keen to help other people. When I was a young child or when I was in high school, every time I saw somebody in trouble, uh, I felt a need to help them. I felt like I have to do something about it. Like, I felt other people's emotions and problems so deeply that I felt like I can feel their pain, like something uh, start heating up in me, like my blood circulation became so strong and so fast. And then I would start feeling dizzy, and my stomach would start to um, growl, and it was a bad situation. And then slowly I realized, like, this is in me, it's built in me, that I cannot resist other people's pain, or I can feel other people's pain and emotions, either it's good emotions or bad emotions. So I felt a need, like, I have to help people. So I've been helping a lot of people since I was a child, and I have helped a lot of people from various parts of the life, or like, like people who have any kind of issues, and then I help them resolve them. Either it's um, well, let's not go into details because it's my first video and I do not want to discuss other people's personal problems and matters. So we will discuss, or we will stay on the topic, and we will talk about the human rights. So the first one is right to equality. As I mentioned before, everyone is equal. We should not discriminate. It's we should not discriminate regardless of the social status, regardless of the wealth, age, race, sex, religious. The second one we'll talk about is freedom for freedom from discrimination. So this is a very important one because we all have to agree that we do discriminate, or not if we don't discriminate, but we have discriminated other people somewhere, somehow in our life. We cannot deny that part because we know we have done it. So it's very important that we never discriminate anyone. Everybody is equal. It's a basic human right, and everyone have a right to live. And as you can also read my shirt, it says offer respect, receive respect, make friends. So this is one of my shirts, my collection, Peace by Sania Ansari, and the first campaign is make friends. And we have shirts with slogans such as this one. Anyways, back to the human rights. The next one is right to life, liberty and personal security. The fourth one is freedom from slavery. So alhamdulillah, we're living in this modernized society, and we no longer have issues of slavery. I know back in days we used to have slaves, and this thing was very common. So alhamdulillah, we have taken care of that issue, and we're good for that. So right to life, liberty and personal security, this is really important because somehow we judge people. Like everybody have a right to choose the way they want to live their life. Yani, I cannot judge anyone. You should not be judgmental of anyone. Everyone is, just because a person have a different point of view doesn't mean doesn't mean he or she is a good or bad person. Doesn't mean we have to judge them. Like it's their life, they can live like the way they want to, or they can do whatever they want to. They have the full liberty and freedom. Next one is freedom from torture and degrading treatment. So again, I think this one applies to the prisoners. Like I know in some countries, or in a lot of, like back in days, they used to torture the prisoners, and the degrading treatment, like if you're poor or you come from a very like poor society or poor family, we would degrade you, or if you have such poor jobs, we would degrade you. So we should never be doing that. It's not a good thing. We want to make sure that everybody is equal and we take care of everybody. Next one is right to recognition as a person before the law. So as I said before, we sometimes we make certain choices in life, and some choices are good, some choices are bad, and we cannot just punish people, or we cannot torture them. We have to treat them as a human being before we punish them, or before we judge them, or before we do anything bad about them. Right to equality before the law. Again, everybody is equal, everybody is a human being, everybody should be treated equally. So if you have money, you have wealth, you're good looking, you're pretty, it's good for you. I have nothing to do with it. It's not affecting me, so it's good for you. So you should still be humble. Yani, you can't be proud and be like, oh my god, I'm so pretty and I'm so good looking and I'm so wealthy, I'm driving a Bentley or a Mercedes. so everybody should be nice to me and I can be douchebag to everybody, or I'm superior from other people just because I drive a Bentley or a Mercedes. No, it should not be like that. If you drive a Mercedes, it's your car, good for you. It does not affect me. So the main part is you respect me, I respect you on a human level. That's how it should be. Okay, so the next one is right to remedy by competent tribunal. Okay, next one is freedom from arbitrary arrest and exile. Well, this is more about well, let's see the next one, right to fair public hearing. Okay, so we'll combine these three because it's more about law and order. So you can't just arrest a person just because you feel like, you know, based on um, based on the false communication or false information. You have to do the proper investigation by law before you arrest someone. And everybody should have a fair chance of a public hearing, like everybody should be treated equally in front of the law or before the law. Next one is okay, so right to be considered innocent until proven guilty. So I think we're also good for that. Our law system is pretty advanced, and we we should not, even in our personal life, not just before law, even in our personal life, if we don't have a proof, if unless we don't prove somebody's guilt, they're innocent. Like we should not judge people, or we should not say like okay or pinpoint at people until unless we have proof against them. And even on a personal level, we're not allowed to do that, or we should not be doing that. We have law and order for that. Next one is freedom from interference with privacy, family, home, and correspondence. Okay, so this is also important, and I know that nowadays, or like it's very common among women or among a lot of people, that we like to gossip. We gossip a lot, and well, gossiping about other people or interfering, it's like interfering in other people's privacy, interfering in other people's family matters. We should keep our noses to ourselves and to our home, our family. We should not be putting our noses and into other people's matters or family matters, or into other people's privacy, or other people's life. And privacy also comes in form of social media. Like if we have friends and we take pictures, like snapchatting and, you know, posting pictures here and there, we can't do that. We have to ask permission from other person, like okay, so we're taking this picture, is it okay for me to post it on my Facebook or on my Snapchat or on my Instagram? So that's very important. Next one is right to free movement in and out of the country. So I think being a Canadian citizen, I enjoy that freedom because I have a Canadian passport. I'm not bragging, but I think it's a blessing from God. I can go to any country I want. I just buy a plane ticket and I just travel there. And I think no one can stop me from traveling anywhere, unless I have done something wrong, or like unless I have convicted crime, then yeah, of course they have the authority to stop me, but other than that, no, they can't. Right to asylum in other countries from persecution. Okay. So of course, you can seek asylum in other countries as well, if you want to move from one country to other country. It's like refugee people. Like a lot of people, they leave their home countries and go to other countries and they seek asylum as refugees. So that's also allowed. Next one, right to a nationality and the freedom to change it. So I think we're also very blessed in today's society, because we can change our nationality whenever we want. Like, for example, for myself, I was born in Pakistan, I was raised in Canada, our ancestors come from Saudi Arabia, so I'm a Pakistani national and a Canadian citizen. So I'm happy that we chose Canada as a country and I became a Canadian citizen. So which means, or I call myself a Pakistani Canadian because I am technically, Pakistani Canadian because I spent half of my life, most of my life in Canada and some of some part of my life in Pakistan, and I hold a passport from Canada, so it's Pakistani Canadian. So yeah, of course we can choose any nationality we want to, and nowadays it's very easy and um, it's easy peasy. You can go to any country you want to. Next one is right to marriage and family. Of course everybody can get married. Nobody's forcing you. I mean, nobody have to force you into marriage, or nobody have to stop you to get married unless you don't want to. It's your personal choice. And yeah, of course, unless you're in China, you're only allowed two kids or two. It's a before it used to be one child policy, but now they have changed into two kids now. So unless you're in China, you can have a family, you can have as many kids as you want. Nobody is stopping you. It's your basic human right. And I think it's funny or it's sad, I don't know. um, I met this Chinese girl during my trip to Malaysia, and she was, I think, the second child. She was, the first one was a son, and then she was born, and her parents were fined like 20 years ago. They had to pay a fine because she was born as a second child. And I think it's funny because in any country, like in UAE, you can have as many kids as you want. Like in any part of the world, you can have as many kids as you want. You can have a big family or a small family. It's a personal preference. uh Next one is right to own property. So of course you can own a property as long as you have means to pay for the property. You can definitely own a property. No one can stop you from owning a property. But I know that um, I think we should raise our voice for, I know, certain part of the world where people are bypassing these human rights, and we need to work on these. For example, when I went to Jordan in August, I visited the Gaza camp. Uh, Gaza camp mostly. So Gaza camp in Gaza camp, sorry. So in Gaza camp we have Palestinian refugees residing there for more than 60 years, and they don't have a right to own the property, and they are not even allowed to build a roof on their houses. So just because they've been there for more than 60 years, um, some of them have built houses, so it's like a brick house, but the roof have to be a thin tin sheet. It's like a steel fabrication they use for the roof. So these refugees, because of the treaty they have signed with the Palestinian government, they have to go back to their own country, but they don't want to go back. They want to stay in Jordan. So these people have no right to own a property. So I feel it's also like a violation of human right, and we should definitely raise our voice against them. Because when I went there, I visited some orphan houses in the camp, and after visiting families and hearing the problems, I find out that it's a major issue. Because in winter time it rains a lot, and when it rains a lot, the roof's lifespan is only like a year, 2 years. So after 2 years, or every, you have to replace it, and these people don't have money because they're refugees and government is not really taking care of them. So these people have to deal with the leaking roof in the winter time. So this is a major issue. I was hoping, to raise some money for them and go back to Jordan and help them replace the roofs for them, and also try to help the uh, water problem, because they don't have the clean drinking water. So perhaps, also this was also one of my to-do list for this year that I want to raise money uh, for the refugees to also, like have water filtration plants in that small village or in the camp, so they can have access to the clean water. Yeah, but I was there and I did distribute some food baskets, and this was an amazing eye-opening experience. And I ask every one of you to like extend a helping hand towards them. And it's not their fault that they're residing in a refugee camp. It can be any one of us. Like, it's their unfortunate that it happened to them. It could be myself sitting in a refugee camp, or it can be anyone. um, so yeah, it's this was a very touching experience. Okay, back to the human rights. Article 18, freedom of belief and religion. Of course, in today's society, we're doing pretty okay with that. Like, we try to live in peace, we try to live in harmony and in peace with other religions. We don't really bother them, and even we should be respectful towards uh, other religions and people who have other beliefs. We should not discriminate them. End of the day, we're all human beings. um, Next one is freedom of opinion and information. Of course, nowadays we're free to believe in whatever we want to believe in, and we're free to give our opinion. But there's a thing, um, you need to know there's a fine line between giving an opinion and intruding in somebody's privacy and being rude, right? So a lot of people think, okay, so for example, if you're a media personality, or if you're a not a media person, let's say you're a singer or actress or a model, right? These are public figures. So a lot of people think that they can go on their page and they can write any comment. So I think if you have an opinion, if it's a positive opinion, you can talk about it. And if it's anything negative and anything rude, personally, I do not want to hear that. It's your opinion, it's negative, you keep it to yourself. Don't spread any negativity. We have a lot of problems. We have wars going on, we have refugee crisis, we have floods, and we have storms, and we have global warming. We have major issues to deal with. Why would you go around and spread negativity? Like, I understand you might have an opinion, but if it's a positive one, keep it. If it's a negative opinion, please keep it to yourself, and no need to spread negativity around. Second thing about opinion is, I feel, if I don't ask someone for an opinion, don't give your opinion. I mean, you have a right to choose what's right and wrong for you, but you can't really choose for other people. You can't really give an opinion to other people unless you're asked for. Unless it's asked for, or unless somebody asks you, oh, I need your advice and opinion on that, then you can be honest. But usually you should be polite. uh Next one, sorry, I'm tired of talking. Next one is right of peaceful assembly and association. Okay, so I know, like, there's sometimes if we don't agree on certain rule or law or any bill that the government passes, we should we can raise our voice, but it has to be peaceful. We can't have rights, and we cannot, like, just go ahead and start burning the city and close down the city and be like, oh my god, like something bad happened. No, you cannot hurt other people, you cannot hurt the property, you cannot do anything violent. Like, you have to be peaceful. It has to be peaceful. Like, for example, even as a person, as a human being, as a woman, I like, this is what I think. if you're polite to me, if you ask me nicely, peacefully, I'll do anything for you if it's feasible. And if you're trying to be violent, if you're trying to be rude, if you're trying to give me orders or tell me do this, do not, uh, like if you tell me do's and don'ts, I will never listen to you. I will never do what you ask me to do for. So same goes with everybody. I think if you have, uh, if you have, what you, how do I describe that? Um, I think love is the answer for everything. You don't have to be rude, you don't have to be violent, you don't have to be, that crazy person. Love can solve everything and anything, and it's your words. If you use your words nicely, wisely, politely, then you can do anything, right? You don't have to, yeah, you have a right to raise your voice, but it has to be nice and polite, and so the other people can understand. You don't have to go crazy and make a scene. Okay, next one. Right to participate in government and free elections. um, okay, this is very normal. Of course, everybody can vote and everybody have a right to participate in the government unless you have committed a crime or unless you don't fit in a criteria. Next one is right to social security. Of course, it's very important and crucial that everybody should feel secure, and our governments and should have proper law and order in order to secure the society. Next one is right to desirable work and to join trade unions. Of course, you can apply for any jobs you want to. You can have any desirable work. You can work in any country you want to. Because of social media, the world have become so, like, the distances have become so short. You can work, like you can apply for jobs wherever you want. You can work wherever you want or whichever industry you choose to. um, Next one is right to rest and leisure. Okay, so of course we can take vacations, we can have our rest and leisure time. So when you say right to rest and leisure, it's not about somebody stopping you from going on vacations or taking trips. It's about work environment. So when you're working for an organization, you have a right to take vacation time, or you have a right to rest. You should not be working more than 40 hours unless you're a crazy person like me, who's a self-sufficient and over ambitious, who works 7 days a week. But no one forces me to work 7 days a week. I Even if I'm traveling, even if I'm in plane, or even if I'm flying in a plane, I hope the Wi-Fi is working so I can work and go through my emails and work on my proposals and projects. Anyways, the next one is right to educate living standard. So of course it's common sense and no one really intrudes or interferes in this one. Right to education, it's also very important, and I think uh, no one really uh, no one really yeah, everyone can. I think it's a personal preference, and no one really is stopping you to, like, oh, you cannot go to school or you cannot go to university. But I will shed more light on this one because I know in Pakistan or in most part of the world, we we should really know and we should really work on this issue, because we feel that after a woman is 18 years old or 17, 18, we should marry her off. Like, why should we send her to school? She should be married and she should be taking care of a family. No, you should not be doing that. It's a basic human right that being a parent, we should know that we should send our kids, like especially women, to school, because women, an educated mother, if we educate a woman, then she becomes a mother. She will take care of the kids properly, and she will raise noble and well-behaved, well-mannered, well-nourished kids. And these kids are future of our society, future of our nation. So we have to really take care of that. Educating a women is very important, and we should make sure that we at least give the basic education if to every single child we have, regardless of the circumstances, because I have seen a lot of issues in Pakistan specifically, that in some areas they're like, okay, so she's 18 now, just because we're having a lot of proposals for her, we should marry her off. Why should we send her to school? There's no use of education, there's no use of her going to school. It's waste of time and money, and she's young. We got this really good proposal for her, so why not marry her off? So no, you should not be doing that, please. It's my humble request to not do that. Like, don't ruin your kid's life. So right to education. Next one is right to participate in the cultural life of community. So of course, nowadays we have a lot of cultural events and events per community, where uh, nobody really stops us from attending those. So I think we're also okay in that department. In fact, we all love going to events. So I think we're okay with that part. Next one is right to social order that articulates this document. uh, okay, so of course we should all have access to the we should all have access to the social order, and we should all have access to the knowledge of the basic human rights. um, Second last is community duties essential to free and full development. And the last one is freedom from state or personal interference in the above rights. Okay, so the last two is, of course, um, we have freedom for fully development, for full development, like personal development for ourselves, and we have a freedom uh, to okay, so we have a freedom to uh, how do I explain that? Oh god, I'm tired now. Okay, so we're free to follow these human right articles. No one can interfere in these, or even your government cannot come to you and tell you like, okay, uh, you cannot abide by the certain human right. So we all have rights uh, to these human rights, basically. Anyways, guys, I hope it's not a boring video and you got some knowledge about the human rights. And the next video, I'll try to make it more fun and more exciting, because I know we were talking about the human rights and there's so many of them. There's like 30 basic human rights that I wanted to go through and wanted to make sure that you all have an idea about, or you all have knowledge about them, and I just wanted to shed a little bit light about these. And hopefully in next couple of videos we can talk more about the specific human rights, and I'll give you examples, and we'll discuss in more details, and we'll choose more fun topics to talk about. And I hope you like my video, and don't forget to subscribe to my channel, and have a nice day, have a good night. It was nice knowing you. And last thing, if you have any comments, feel free to share your opinion and comments. But if it's something rude or negative, keep it to yourself. All right. Bye. Love you.